My parents sold the land I'd been paying taxes on for a decade to my cousin for $100. Family helps family, they said. So I called my lawyer about the access road, and their faces turned pale when... The thing about betrayal is that it rarely comes as a thunderclap. Usually it's served with a smile, maybe even a glass of wine on a perfectly ordinary Tuesday evening. I'm Sophie, and I've spent the last decade paying property taxes on a piece of land that was supposed to be mine. Not just any land, 2 acres of pristine woodland adjacent to my parents' house, complete with a babbling creek and enough space to build the home I'd been sketching in notebooks since college. More wine, honey? My mother, Bethany, tilted the bottle toward my glass, her smile practiced and pleasant. The kitchen smelled like her signature pot roast, the same recipe she'd been making for Sunday dinner since I was old enough to remember. I'm good. I watched her carefully, noting how she avoided my eyes. So what's this big news you wanted to tell me? Dad cleared his throat, pushing his potatoes around his plate. Well, sweetheart, we've been thinking about family lately, about helping those in need. The pit in my stomach grew. I'd seen this coming somehow. Felt it in the way they'd been dodging my calls about finalizing the land transfer. We sold the property to Cade, Mom announced, taking a deliberate sip of her wine. He's had such a rough time since the divorce, and family helps family. The fork froze halfway to my mouth. You sold my land to Cade? Well, technically it was still in our names, Dad mumbled, not meeting my gaze. The land I've been paying taxes on for 10 years? The land you promised me on my 20th birthday? Mom waved her hand dismissively. Oh honey, you're doing so well with your career. Cade really needs this fresh start. He's got such wonderful plans for the property. How much? My voice was steady, surprising even me. They exchanged glances. Dad spoke first. We let him have it for $100. Symbolic, really. Family rate. I set my fork down carefully, remembering all those property tax payments, the surveyor I'd hired, the soil tests I'd paid for, 10 years of planning, saving, dreaming. $100, I repeated. And when were you planning to tell me about this family arrangement? Don't be difficult, Sophie, Mom sighed. You've always been so rigid about things. This is what families do, we help each other. Cade's going through a rough patch. I thought about the gravel road leading to that property, the only legal access point. The road I'd quietly purchased 3 years ago when I noticed my parents getting weird about the land transfer timeline. The deed was sitting in my safe at home, paid for in cash. When's he moving forward with his plans? I asked, keeping my voice neutral. Oh, he's so excited. Mom brightened immediately. He's already talking to contractors about clearing some trees, maybe building some rental cabins. He's got such an entrepreneurial spirit. Dad nodded enthusiastically. He's thinking of calling it Whisper Pines Resort. Cute, right? I smiled and reached for my wine glass. Very cute. See? Mom beamed. I knew you'd understand once we explained. You've always been the practical one, and it's not like you can't afford to buy another property somewhere else. The practical one, code for the boring one, the reliable one. The one who could be counted on to swallow her anger and play nice at family gatherings. Of course I understand, I said softly. Family helps family, right? They relaxed visibly, probably congratulating themselves on how well this had gone. Mom started chattering about the family barbecue this weekend, where Cade would share his big plans with everyone. I nodded at all the right moments, asked appropriate questions about the menu, and helped clear the dishes, all while thinking about that deed in my safe, about the property laws I'd researched obsessively, about the lawyer friend who'd helped me secure that road purchase, knowing exactly what it might mean someday. You'll come to the barbecue, won't you? Mom asked as I gathered my purse to leave. Everyone will be there, even Michaela's flying in. Wouldn't miss it, I assured her, accepting her hug. After all, family helps family. Dad walked me to my car, hovering awkwardly. You know we love you. Right, sweetheart? I turned to him, this man who'd promised me the world and delivered it to someone else for $100. I know, Dad. Everything's fine. As I drove home through the darkness, I thought about that gravel road, about access rights and easements, about 10 years of patience and planning, about karma and justice, and the sweet, slow taste of revenge served at exactly room temperature. I pulled into my driveway, smiling as I remembered the deed safely tucked away in my safe. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about burning bridges. It's about owning the only road to cross the river. Saturday arrived with the kind of perfect weather that makes family barbecues look like commercials for the American dream. I brought potato salad, and my best fake smile. Sophie. Cade's voice boomed across my parents' backyard, just the cousin I wanted to see. He was manning the grill, spatula in one hand, beer in the other, looking exactly like someone who just gotten prime real estate for $100. Cade. I nodded, setting my dish on the crowded picnic table. How's life? Amazing. Just amazing. He gestured expansively at the tree line beyond the fence. Have you seen my new property? Your parents told you about that, right? Such a blessing. I watched him flip burgers with the confidence of a man who'd never had to fight for anything. They mentioned it. You've got to come see what I'm planning. I'm thinking luxury camping, glamping. Rich people eat that stuff up. He leaned in closer. Beer breath mixing with charcoal smoke could make a fortune once it's up and running. Sounds ambitious, I said. How are you accessing the property? He waved vaguely toward the gravel road. Oh, the usual way, through there. Interesting. My sister Michaela appeared at my elbow, rescue written all over her face. Sophie, thank God you're here. Help me grab more ice from the garage. In the cool darkness of the garage, Michaela turned to me. You okay? You look like you're ready to commit murder with a spatula. I'm fine. I busied myself with the ice bags, just enjoying our family's special brand of justice. Mom told me about the land. She hesitated. That's pretty messed up. Yeah, well, Karma's a patient lady. Back outside, Bethany was holding court, showing off Cade's preliminary sketches to our assembled relatives. Look at these darling cabin designs and the community fire pit area, so thoughtful. Speaking of thoughtful, Cade called out, Sophie, you're good with numbers, right? Maybe you could help me with the business plan since you're practically my neighbor now. Several relatives chuckled. I felt their eyes on me, waiting for the good sport, the practical one, to play along. Sorry, Cade, my plate's pretty full right now. Oh, come on, he pressed. Family helps family, right? I met his eyes. Exactly. Family helps family. Shanice, Cade's sister, appeared beside me with 2 glasses of sangria. Here, she said, handing me one. You look like you need this. We drifted away from the crowd, finding shade under the old maple tree. Shanice watched her brother holding court at the grill. I didn't know you'd given up the land, she said quietly. I took a long sip of sangria, interesting choice of words. She turned to study my face. What does that mean? It means some things aren't given up, they're taken. The afternoon wore on. I played my part, nodded at the right moments, helped Mom clean up paper plates. I watched Cade sketch his dreams in the air with confident hands, watched my parents beam with pride at their generosity. You're being awfully quiet, Dad said as I helped him stack chairs. Everything okay? Just tired, I said. Long week at work. You work too hard, sweetheart. You should relax more like Cade. He knows how to enjoy life. I set the last chair down carefully. Yeah. Must be nice to have everything handed to you. Sophie, I should head out. I cut him off. Early meeting tomorrow. I made my goodbyes, deflected Cade's attempts to show me more plans, and escaped to my car. As soon as I was out of the driveway, I pulled over and called Bailey. How was the family circus? My lawyer friend asked. Educational. I watched the sunset paint the sky pink through my windshield. Cade's already planning his resort empire, talking about construction crews and cabin designs, without checking property access rights, bold strategy. He always was an optimist. I drummed my fingers on the steering wheel. It's time, Bailey. Let's shut this party down. You sure? Once we send that letter, there's no going back. Your family's gonna lose their minds. I thought about 10 years of tax payments, about Cade's smirk at the grill, about my mother's dismissive wave when she announced they'd sold my future for pocket change. They lost their minds when they thought they could steal my land, and I'd just smile and take it. Send the letter. All right, boss. I'll draft it tonight. Want me to make it extra lawyer-y and threatening? Make it beautiful, I said, starting my car. Make it sing. As I drove home, I thought about Cade's dreams of luxury camping, about access roads and property rights, about the look on his face when he realized his $100 deal came with $1 million problem. Sometimes karma needs a little help, and I was more than happy to lend a hand. Bailey's letter arrived on my desk the next morning, crisp and professional on her firm's letterhead. I ran my fingers over the embossed logo while she watched from across her desk. It's perfect, I said, scanning the carefully worded paragraphs, especially the part about criminal trespassing charges. I particularly enjoyed citing the property codes. Bailey grinned. Nothing says fuck you quite like legal citations. I signed where she indicated, and she slipped the letter into an overnight envelope. You know your phone's going to explode when this hits. Right? Already prepared for that. I held up my personal phone, set to do not disturb, except for you and my boss. Back at work, I threw myself into spreadsheets and client meetings, trying to ignore the ticking clock. The letter would arrive tomorrow morning. Meanwhile, Cade's Facebook posts kept popping up in my feed, shared by enthusiastic relatives. Just met with the architect. Whisper Pines Resort is becoming reality. Blessed entrepreneur life. I scrolled past photos of him pointing at trees, standing importantly with rolled-up blueprints, posing with various contractors. Each post collected dozens of supportive comments from our family. So proud of you, nephew, Mom had written, following your dreams. My phone buzzed. A text from Michaela. Saw Cade's posts. You okay? Never better, I replied. Just wait. The next morning, I was in a budget meeting when my phone lit up with Cade's name. I declined the call. Then another and another. Everything all right? My boss asked, noticing my distraction. Family drama, I said. Nothing urgent. By lunch, I had 17 missed calls and 32 text messages. I opened the most recent one from Cade. Hey Soph, got a weird letter here. Something about the road? Call me a sap. Mom's messages were less restrained. What are you doing? Call me immediately, young lady. This is ridiculous, and you know it. I forwarded them all to Bailey, who responded with a popcorn emoji. My office phone rang. The reception desk. Sophie, your mother's on line 1. She says it's an emergency. Take a message, please. I'm preparing for the Johnson presentation. 5 minutes later, Sophie, your father's on line 2. I worked late. Deliberately missing dinner time. Prime drop-in hours for angry relatives. When I finally got home, I found Shanice sitting on my front porch. Interesting day, she said, standing as I approached. How long have you been waiting? About an hour. Figured you were avoiding everyone. She held up a bottle of wine. Thought you might need this. I let her in. Grateful she'd brought wine and not recriminations. We settled in my kitchen, and she poured generous glasses. Cade's losing his mind, she said. He's already paid the architect and put deposits down with contractors. Sounds like poor planning on his part. Mom and Dad are saying you're being spiteful. I took a long sip. Funny how enforcing my legal property rights is spiteful, but stealing my land is helping family. The road's really yours? Shanice asked. Legally. I pulled the deed from my kitchen drawer and handed it to her. She studied it, whistling softly. You bought this 3 years ago in cash? I'm the practical one, remember? I plan ahead. She handed the deed back, shaking her head. You knew they might do this, I suspected. They'd been weird about the land transfer for years. Always had excuses why we couldn't finalize it. While you paid the taxes and the surveys and the environmental studies and my phone buzzed again. Cade? Shanice glanced at the screen. He's called me 6 times today, keeps talking about lawyers. He should definitely talk to lawyers, I said. They'll tell him the same thing Bailey's letter did. He has no legal right to use that road without my permission, and you're not giving permission. Oh, I might, I smiled, for the right price. Shanice's eyes widened. You're going to make him pay? Family helps family, right? I'm helping him understand property laws. She laughed despite herself. You're evil. No. I'm practical and tired of being the family doormat. My phone lit up again, this time with a text from Bailey. Your mother just called my office. Tried to argue adverse possession rights. I think I made her cry with property law specifics. They're not gonna let this go easily, Shanice warned. They don't have a choice. I refilled our glasses. The law's on my side, and for once, I'm not backing down. What's your endgame here? I thought about 10 years of dismissed dreams, of casual betrayals wrapped in family obligation, of smirking entitlement at a barbecue grill. Justice, I said simply, at market rate. I scheduled the meeting for Saturday morning at my house. Neutral territory, Bailey had advised, but somewhere I'd feel comfortable. I set out water, coffee, and a plate of store-bought cookies nobody would touch. They arrived as a group, Mom, Dad, and Cade. Perfect attendance for the reality check convention. Before we start, I said as they settled onto my living room furniture, I have Bailey on standby for a conference call if we need legal clarification. We don't need lawyers, Mom snapped. We need you to stop this nonsense. Cade leaned forward, all charm. Come on, Soph, we can work this out. Family? If you say family helps family one more time, I'm calling Bailey immediately. Dad cleared his throat. Sweetheart, we understand you're upset about the land. No, you really don't. I pulled out a folder. But let's focus on the current situation. Cade bought property with no legal access point. The only road in belongs to me. It's a family road, Mom protested. Actually, it's not. Here's the deed. I slid it across the coffee table. Purchased 3 years ago, completely separate from the adjacent properties. Cade grabbed the paper, scanning it frantically. This can't be right. The realtor said. The realtor wasn't selling you road access. My parents were selling you landlocked property. So what do you want? Kate demanded. Money? I smiled. Now we're talking business. Yes. I'm willing to sell a right-of-way easement. How much? Dad asked quietly. $75,000. Mom's coffee cup clattered against its saucer. Cade shot to his feet. That's insane, he shouted. It's a gravel road. It's the only legal access to property you plan to develop into a resort. I kept my voice level. Without it, you have unusable land. You're trying to ruin me, Kate accused. No, I'm charging market rate for an essential business asset. Isn't that what entrepreneurs do? Mom was crying now, dabbing her eyes with a tissue. I can't believe you're doing this to family. Interesting. I opened another folder. Let's talk about what family does. Like these text messages from Dad, promising me the land, or these emails from Mom about my tax payments, or this notarized statement about verbal contracts and fraud. The room went very quiet. You kept all that? Dad whispered. I'm practical, remember? I document everything. Cade paced the room. This is blackmail. No, it's business. You want to build a resort? You need road access. I'm offering it for a price. We can't afford that, he said. Then I guess Whisper Pines Resort is staying a whisper. Mom stood up, hands shaking. You've changed, you've become hard, calculating. I've become like you, I interrupted. I learned from the best, Mom, all those years, watching you manipulate situations. Watching you play favorites. Watching you dismiss my work and my dreams because they weren't flashy enough. That's not fair, Dad protested. Fair? I laughed. Was it fair to let me pay taxes for 10 years on land you gave away for $100? Was it fair to promise me something you never intended to deliver? Cade slumped onto the couch. I can't lose this opportunity, I've already invested so much. Sounds like a you problem. I gathered my papers. The offer stands. $75,000 for permanent road access rights. Take it or leave it. We could sue, Mom threatened. Please do. Bailey would love to depose everyone about the land fraud. Dad stood up slowly. Sophie, please. We're your parents. Yes, you are. And you taught me everything I know about family loyalty. They left in a cluster of slammed doors and tearful accusations. Through my front window, I watched them huddle in my driveway, gesturing angrily. My phone buzzed. A text from Bailey. How'd it go? About as expected, Mom cried. Cade raged. Dad looked disappointed. I stayed calm, proud of you. Want to get drunk? Not yet. Still have work to do. I watched my family finally drive away, then went to my home office. Time to file the official notice of road access restriction with the county. Bailey had the paperwork ready. My phone buzzed again. Shanice, just heard from Cade. You really asked for $75K? Fair market value for commercial access rights. He's freaking out. Says you've ruined everything. I thought about 10 years of ruined dreams, of dismissed hopes, of practical plans derailed by family favoritism. Karma takes notes, I texted back. And eventually she presents the bill. I looked out my office window at the gravel road, simple and unassuming. Sometimes the biggest weapons are the quietest ones. Sometimes justice wears work boots and carries a property deed. And sometimes, family helps family learn the hardest lessons of all. The security camera notification pinged my phone at 6:43 a.m. I watched the live feed as Cade's truck crept down my gravel road heading toward his useless piece of paradise. I texted Bailey, got him, clear as day. Timestamp and everything. She replied instantly on it. Filing the injunction today, send me the footage. I'd installed the cameras the day after our meeting, knowing Cade's ego wouldn't let him follow the rules. 3 days later, here he was proving me right. My phone rang. Mom, before you start, I said, answering. I have video evidence of Cade trespassing this morning. He's just trying to check his property through my private road after receiving legal notice not to. The whole family is talking about this, she hissed. Your Aunt Ramona called me crying, said you're destroying Kate's future. Funny how nobody cried about my future. That's different. You're right. It is different because I actually paid for my property. She hung up. 10 minutes later, my sister Michaela called. So, she said. I just got a novel-length text from Mom about your reign of terror. How's the weather in Chicago? Don't deflect. Are you really going through with this? I forwarded her the security camera footage. She went quiet for a moment. Is Kate seriously trying to sneak through at dawn? Yep. With a trailer full of construction materials. Jesus. She sighed. You know they're saying horrible things about you at the weekly family dinner? Good thing I wasn't invited then. Sophie, don't. You got out. Remember? Moved to Chicago. Built your life. I stayed. Played by their rules. Paid my dues. Look where it got me. Later that afternoon, I drove by the property. Cade's truck was parked just off the main road, and he was hammering something into the ground near the property line. I pulled over and got out. That better not be on my road. He jumped, nearly dropping his hammer. It's my property marker. I walked closer. The stake had Whisper Pines Resort coming soon burned into it with Cade's name underneath. Your property starts 6 feet that way. I pointed past the stake. This is my road easement. You can't stop progress, Sophie. He gestured at the woods behind him. This is happening whether you like it or not. I pulled out my keys and approached the stake. Actually, I can stop progress. I scratched his name off the wood with my car key, and I will. Real mature. He sneered, says the man sneaking in at dawn like a teenager missing curfew. His face reddened. I've got investors waiting. Real estate agents interested. You're messing with my life. Karma's funny that way. This isn't karma. This is you being a bitter. Choose your next words carefully, I interrupted. Bailey's already filing an injunction over your trespassing this morning. He paled slightly. You were watching? Security cameras. Welcome to the 21st century. I got back in my car, but he rushed to my window. Wait, maybe we can negotiate? $75,000. Non-negotiable. That's robbery. No. Robbery is stealing someone's future and selling it for $100. I drove away, leaving him standing by his sad little stake. My phone buzzed with a text from Shanice. Heads up, Cade's telling everyone you scratched up his property marker. Mom's having a meltdown. Good thing I got that on my dash cam then. You're scary prepared. I learned from watching them. At home, I found a formal-looking letter in my mailbox. Inside was a badly written legal threat from some strip mall lawyer Cade had hired. I forwarded it to Bailey, who responded with several crying laughing emojis. Want me to send him the Bar Association's ethics guidelines? She offered. Save it for court. That evening, I walked down my gravel road listening to the crunch under my feet. A family of deer crossed ahead of me, unaware they were trespassing on contested territory. My phone buzzed again. Dad this time. The family's falling apart. His text read, "Please reconsider." I thought about all the family dinners I'd sat through, swallowing my pride along with Mom's pot roast, about the casual cruelties dressed up as family loyalty, about 10 years of patience worn paper thin. The family fell apart long ago, I wrote back. We just pretended it hadn't. I turned off my phone and kept walking, counting my steps on the gravel road that had become my line in the sand. Behind me, the sunset on another day of family drama. Ahead, the property line marker lay on its side, my key marks glinting in the fading light. Sometimes the hardest battles are fought on the quietest battlefields, and sometimes victory sounds like gravel crunching under determined feet. Shanice showed up at my office during lunch, clutching a manila envelope and looking nervous. You need to see this, she said, sliding into the chair across from my desk. Mom's been keeping secrets. Inside the envelope were bank statements, loan documents, and a promissory note, all in Aunt Ramona's handwriting. Cade borrowed $90,000 from Mom 3 months ago, Shanice explained, promised to pay her back double once the resort started making money. I spread the papers across my desk. Let me guess, right before he made the deal with my parents? Bingo. He told Mom he had inside information about prime development land, said it was a sure thing, inside information. I laughed. You mean he knew my parents would sell him my property for nothing? There's more. Shanice pulled out a newspaper clipping. Found this in today's classifieds. The ad was small but bold. Luxury tiny homes coming soon to Whisper Pines. Pre-sale reservations now available. It listed Cade's LLC and a phone number. He's taking reservations? I sat back. Without having legal access to the property? That's not even the worst part. Shanice leaned forward. Mom's house is in foreclosure. She leveraged it for Cade's loan. My phone buzzed. Bailey, turn on the local news website, her text read. Right now. I pulled up the site on my computer. The headline made my stomach turn. Local developer promises eco-resort revolution. There was Cade, standing on my parents' back deck, gesturing at the woods behind him. The reporter looked suitably impressed as he described his vision of sustainable luxury camping. Construction begins next month, he announced confidently. We're just finalizing some minor details. Minor details? I grabbed my phone. Bailey, tell me you're seeing this. Already on it, she replied. Check your email. I found his LLC filing with the state. The document showed exactly what I expected. Cade had listed my road as his legal access point without any documentation or permission. That's fraud, Shanice said, reading over my shoulder. Yes, it is. I forwarded everything to Bailey, and now we have proof. My office phone rang. The front desk. Sophie, your mother's here. Send her up. Shanice stood. Want me to stay? No, but keep your phone on. This is about to get interesting. Mom burst in moments later, waving her phone with the news article. Are you happy now? Everyone's talking about how you're blocking progress in the community. Sit down, Mom. We need to talk about Aunt Ramona's loan. She froze. What? The $90,000 Cade borrowed, the house she mortgaged, the fraud he's committing right now, that's private family business. So is theft, I said quietly. So is fraud. So is destroying someone's future for profit. He's family. So am I. I slapped the papers down. But you forgot that part, didn't you? When you sold my land to cover his gambling debts, Mom sank into a chair. How did you know about the gambling? I didn't until just now, but thanks for confirming it. My phone buzzed again. Bailey had found more. Cade's LLC had already collected reservation deposits from 12 people. He's taking money, I told Mom, for property he can't legally access. That's criminal fraud. You're going to send him to jail? Your own cousin? No, Mom. His choices are sending him to jail. I'm just refusing to be his accomplice. She started to cry, but I developed an immunity to her tears. Here's what's going to happen, I said. You're going to call Dad and Cade. Meeting at my house 7 tonight. Bailey will be there. Lawyers aren't necessary in family. Lawyers became necessary the moment you decided to steal from me. I stood up. 7. Don't be late. After she left, I called Bailey. Found anything else? Oh, honey. You're going to love this. His LLC filing includes plans for a restaurant, health department applications, liquor license requests, all using your road as access. Wanna guess how many permits that requires and how many he doesn't have? Bingo. Want me to drop the hammer tonight? I thought about Aunt Ramona's house. About 12 innocent people's deposits. About 10 years of patience and planning. Bring everything, I said. Time to end this. My phone lit up with a text from Michaela. Just saw the news. Holy shit, sis. Watch this space, I replied. Tonight's gonna be interesting. I looked out my office window at the autumn sky, thinking about karma and justice and the price of betrayal. Some people learn through love, some through loss, and some through legal documents served with a side of revenge. Tonight, class was in session. Bailey arrived first, carrying a briefcase that probably cost more than Cade's $100 land purchase. Ready for this? Born ready. I adjusted the water pitcher on my dining room table. How much trouble is he in? Legally, enough to make your revenge look like mercy. The doorbell rang. My parents entered first, followed by a sullen Cade. No one sat down. Before we start, Bailey said, opening her briefcase, I should mention I'm recording this meeting. Of course you are, Mom muttered. Let's begin with the fraud, Bailey continued, laying out documents. Mr. Cade, you've collected deposits for property access you don't legally have. That's criminal misrepresentation. I was going to work something out, Cade protested. With whose money? I asked. Aunt Ramona's retirement fund? Dad's head snapped up. What? Show them, Bailey. She pulled out the loan documents. $90,000 borrowed against Ramona's house, currently in foreclosure proceedings. Mom sank into a chair. Cade, you said that was handled. It will be. Once the resort? The resort that can't legally exist, Bailey interrupted. The one you're advertising without permits? The one collecting deposits without access rights? I can explain. Please do, I said. Explain how you convinced my parents to sell you land you knew you couldn't use without my road. Explain the gambling debts you're trying to cover. Explain why Aunt Ramona's about to be homeless. Silence fell like a hammer. Gambling debts? Dad whispered. Cade's face went red. That's private. Nothing's private anymore, Bailey said. Not the casino markers, not the online betting accounts, not the LLC fraud. Want to guess how many years that adds up to? You're bluffing, he snarled. Bailey played a voicemail on speaker. Cade, it's Mom. The bank called again. They're taking the house. You promised you'd fix this. Please call me back. More silence. Here's the deal, I said. 2 options. Option 1, I press charges. All of them. You go to jail, Aunt Ramona loses everything, and those 12 deposit-paying customers become witnesses for the prosecution. Option 2, Dad asked quietly, you sign the land back to me. I'll pay the $100 just to keep it clean. Then I'll grant you a one-time access permit to remove any equipment you've already moved in. That's blackmail, Cade shouted. No, Bailey corrected. That's mercy. Because option 1 includes notifying the Gaming Commission, the state attorney's office, and the real estate board. You can't prove actually, I cut in, we can. Want to see the paperwork, the bank records, the security footage of you trespassing, the falsified LLC documents? Mom started crying again. Sophie, please, he made mistakes, but what? He's family? That excuse is getting pretty thin, Mom. Dad cleared his throat. We thought you'd do the right thing. Let him use the road. I'm doing the right thing. I'm stopping him from destroying more lives. I turned to Cade. Sign the papers or face the consequences. Your choice. This isn't fair, he whispered. Fair? I laughed. Was it fair to steal my land? To gamble away your mother's house? To take deposits from innocent people for a resort you can't build? Bailey slid the transfer papers across the table. Sign here and here. Initial here. Kate's hand shook as he picked up the pen. You've ruined everything. No. You did that all on your own. I'm just making sure you don't take anyone else down with you. The signatures took 5 minutes. Bailey notarized them on the spot. One more thing, I said, pulling out my checkbook. This is for Aunt Ramona. Enough to cover 3 months' mortgage while she figures things out. Why would you, Mom started? Because, unlike some people, I actually know what family means. They left in a cluster of defeated shoulders and silent accusations. Through my window, I watched Cade punch his steering wheel before driving away. Well, Bailey said, packing up. That was fun. Drink? God, yes. My phone buzzed. Shanice, Mom just called. Said Cade signed everything over. You okay? Better than okay. Check your email. I just sent Ramona's mortgage payment. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did. Because that's what family actually does. Bailey poured 2 generous glasses of wine. To justice served cold, to karma, I corrected. And to owning the road, less traveled. Outside, the gravel crunched under departing tires. Inside, I finally felt the weight of 10 years lifting from my shoulders. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying someone, it's about stopping them from destroying themselves, and sometimes it's about knowing exactly where to draw the line, preferably in gravel with a deed to prove it. The autumn leaves crunched under my boots as I walked the property line, measuring tape in hand. Bailey walked beside me, marking coordinates on her phone. Perfect spot for the cabin, I said, stopping at a small clearing overlooking the creek. Just enough elevation to catch the sunrise. Your architect's gonna love this. She snapped a photo. How's Aunt Ramona settling into her new place? Good. The apartment's smaller, but she says it's peaceful. No more debt collectors calling. My phone buzzed. Shanice sending her weekly update. Cade took a job in Seattle. Mom's still not speaking to anyone. Dad keeps asking if you've started building yet. I sent back a photo of the clearing. Starting next week, tell him he's welcome to watch from his back porch. The sound of gravel crunching made us turn. A familiar truck approached. Dad driving slowly down my road. Didn't expect this, Bailey muttered. He parked and got out, looking uncertain. Your mother said you were out here today. Just planning the cabin location. I gestured at the clearing. Wanna see? He followed us up the gentle slope, hands in his pockets. Nice view, same one I've been looking at for 10 years. He winced. Sophie about that. Dad, don't, no, let me finish. He took a deep breath. We were wrong. Not just about the land, about everything. The way we treated you, the way we favored Cade, the way you dismissed every sacrifice I made. Yes. He looked at the creek below. Your mother's still processing, but I needed to tell you. I'm proud of you. For what? Destroying the family's dreams of a luxury resort? For standing up for yourself? For being smarter than all of us? He smiled slightly. For being practical. Bailey discreetly wandered away, giving us space. I got the permits approved yesterday, I said. Breaking ground next week? Single cabin? For now. Maybe a guest house later if Michaela visits more. He nodded at the measuring tape. Need help with those measurements? I handed him the tape. Hold that end by the oak tree. We worked in comfortable silence, marking boundaries and discussing drainage patterns. He pointed out where the morning sun would hit best, just like he used to when I was little. My phone buzzed again. Michaela. Booked my flight for the groundbreaking. Need me to bring Mom's pot roast recipe? Already got it, I texted back. But bring wine. Dad helped me pack up the equipment. Your mother found your old sketchbooks last week, the ones with all the cabin designs. She kept those in the attic. She cried when she saw the dates. 10 years of drawings, 10 years of planning, I corrected, while paying taxes on someone else's gift. He flinched. We can't change the past, no, but we can learn from it. I locked my truck, coming to the groundbreaking if you'll have me. One condition, no talk about family helping family. Actions speak louder. He nodded. Fair enough. As he drove away, Bailey returned. Well, that was unexpected. Life usually is. I looked at the clearing again. Want to hear something funny? This spot, it's exactly where Cade wanted to put his resort's main lodge. Karma's got a sense of humor and good taste in real estate. That evening, I sat on my porch with a glass of wine watching the sunset paint the sky over my property. My property, legally, finally, completely. Shanice texted, found more of Cade's old plans. He was going to name the main road McBride Lane. New plan, I wrote back. I'm calling it Karma Court. Perfect. Hey, Mom's asking if you meant it about Dad coming to the groundbreaking. Yes. But tell her the invitation list is like my road. Private property. I opened my laptop, reviewing the cabin plans one last time before submitting them to the contractor. Simple, sustainable, mine. My phone lit up. Aunt Ramona. Thank you for the housewarming plant. It's beautiful. Like you taught me, I replied. Sometimes you have to prune back the dead wood to let new things grow. The evening grew darker, but I stayed on the porch listening to the creek and the rustling leaves. Tomorrow, I'd meet with contractors, review material costs, start the actual work of building something new. But tonight was for sitting quietly, sipping wine, and appreciating how karma sometimes works like water, flowing slowly, steadily, inevitably finding its level. And sometimes, just sometimes, karma sounds like gravel crunching under the wheels of justice, leading exactly where it's supposed to go, home.